Good morning, this is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Saturday, July 29th, 2023. The main fire potential impacts for the next few days are shown here. We're still dealing with some wind over portions of Idaho and into western Nevada and portions of the central Great Basin today and tomorrow. And then we're going to see some moisture starting to move back into the Great Basin from the south. Today, isolated thunderstorms mainly over the higher elevations here in southern Utah and the Arizona Strip. Tomorrow, those storms moisten up and become a little bit more widespread across the south. And Monday, we'll see a pretty big surge northward that will cover most of southern and central northeast Utah with the more isolated storms on the periphery. Yesterday was a pretty quiet day for weather, really no lightning activity and just a little bit of precip there down on the near the strip and in southern Utah with those storms. Yesterday's fire activity is shown here. We had 10 new fires for just over 1,000 acres and about 630 acre growth on our large fires. Precipitation for the past 7 days shows that we've had a little bit of precip over Utah up into southeast Idaho and western Wyoming, but for the most part it's been pretty dry over Idaho, much of Nevada, and even southeast Utah. ERCs for 2 zones are shown here. Here on the Payette, those values are above average for the time of year, getting close to approaching the 90th percentile, still below any kind of records, but still pretty high for the time of year. And then here in southeast Nevada, those values are quite a bit above average for the time of year, above the 90th percentile and approaching historical records, really because of the lack of monsoon that we've seen. But with the moisture moving in over the past couple of days, these values should come back closer to normal. This morning's satellite imagery is showing the high pressure ridge in place just to our south and east. As this ridge moves a little bit further to the west, we'll see the moisture wrapping up and around that ridge and right up into the Great Basin. We can see some tropical moisture off the southern California coast, the Baja coast here, that will be drawn up into the flow, and that's what's going to bring some enhanced precipitation to the Great Basin this coming week. For today, a little bit of moisture moving up under the ridge, bringing that increased chance for isolated showers and thunderstorms mainly to southern Utah. And then we do have some wind also out ahead of this low off the Pacific coast. We do have high risk issued for the central Idaho mountains there and the area on the Payette for those dry winds. Closer look here for precipitation. Again, the higher elevations of southern Utah and the Arizona Strip, just some isolated storms there, and then portions of eastern Idaho or eastern Utah as well. For wind gusts this afternoon, the central Idaho mountains should be gusty, parts of western Nevada, and then this central portion of the Great Basin here could see some wind gusts as well. For tomorrow, Sunday, more moisture will continue to stream northward into the Great Basin for increasing coverage of showers and thunderstorms, mainly still across portions of central and southern Utah. We can see this moisture in place again off the Baja coast. Southern California coast, that will be drawn up into the flow. And still breezy over the central Idaho mountains as that low sits off the Pacific coast. So precipitation increasing tomorrow. The amounts should get a little bit higher and a little bit more widespread across mainly central and southern Utah. Again, still breezy over the central Idaho mountains and across this portion of the central Great Basin. On Monday, the moisture continues to stream northward. We do see some of our PSAs moving to yellows and browns on day 3 of this moisture surge. We should see storms beginning to increase over portions of eastern Nevada as well. Okay, so closer look at those precip totals. Should see storms pretty much statewide across Utah on Monday and into southeast Nevada and up into western Wyoming. Still breezy over the east Idaho mountains there. 3-day precip totals show that trend of increasing precipitation across the state of Utah and southeast Nevada. The biggest day, the first kind of more widespread day will be coming on Monday. And then Tuesday, that moisture that was kind of sitting off the coast will be drawn up into the flow, enhancing precipitation rates across much of Utah into eastern Nevada and up into portions of southern and southeast Idaho. On Tuesday, more of our PSAs moving into yellows And then on Wednesday, that slug of moisture moves northward into Idaho for increasing showers and thunderstorms across those areas. So we can see our overall fire potential is going to be decreasing somewhat dramatically by midweek next week because of these wetter day after day type showers and thunderstorms. Thursday, we should still see showers and thunderstorms in the forecast, especially across the north. We do see some drier air beginning to return back to the southern Great Basin by late in the work week. And Friday, still moisture lingering across the north and drier air across the south. Some of our PSAs will start to move back into the yellow category. So this is a significant increase in moisture as it moves south to north through the Great Basin for the work week next week, but it will be fairly short-lived as drier air moves back in by the weekend. 7-day totals are shown here. Pretty good precip amounts, over an inch expected across most of the higher elevations of Utah and up into western Wyoming. Even the mountains of central Idaho should see some pretty good precip totals in some areas and along eastern Nevada as well. The extended forecast for August 5th through the 11th keeps warm temperatures in place across much of the Great Basin. We're still seeing this trend for above normal precipitation across portions of Idaho. I think that's probably going to be early in this August 5th to 11th time period, and then we'll be drying after that. That concludes today's fire potential briefing. Please check back tomorrow for the latest updates.